Escape the age. Escape the age.
Something I said I wouldn't do, which is film myself in this room. But I've already done it, so what's the point? Hello and good morning. I've been silent for quite some time, which is strange, which is weird to say the least. But I gotta do something. And I've already done my morning routine, which is fairly loose. You know, who am I talking to? To anybody who wants to introduce new things into their lives. Now, what I realized is that there are a lot of things very different about me. It's already starting with the way that I stand. Because I've been walking barefoot a lot. And I'm walking, I have no car, I have strong legs. Now, that's of course a very bad message for the industry. Because if everybody starts walking and nobody uses cars, but I mean, we're talking about, we want, climate change to whatever. I mean, we want a healthy climate. Whatever climate change is, I think it's also natural, right? I think it's natural. A bit of chaos. I think what needs to change is our mentality towards life, which is an open mind, the will to change, and I don't know, the idea that things can happen randomly, whatever. Now, I don't think I'm gonna make a really insane workout. I like standing sometimes. I don't always like standing, but when I stand, I realize, wow, there's a lot of strength in my legs. I can do these things because I've practiced them during slacklining and just walking off trail, which can never be recommended because I don't know where you live and I don't know what your general perception of your surroundings is, whatever. I'm just doing this because it helps me to find balance. And one thing I really like is just doing these then you can of course switch. This is not recommended unless you have the strength to actually catch the fall. And there's so much you can talk about. But I also like to do things, move my body in all kinds of directions. I'm already starting to feel warm. There was like nothing. There was nothing. I almost did nothing. And I already start to feel warm in this sweater. Or pull over. Pull over. Right. Do a bit less, do a bit less. Don't film yourself in here. Don't film yourself in here. It's too private. What do you mean too private? I filmed my bloody bathroom. What's the matter? It's too private, it's too private. You can't say this, you can't say that. It's like, okay. I get it. People are really afraid. Really sensitive about everything. And if they would do that, that was just, ow, that hurts. Yeah, it's supposed to hurt when you're weak. You get what I mean? When you're weak, then your mind is weak, and then your ideas and your opinions are weak. And I don't mean with that start a riot. What I mean is, if you think that hurts, then you are weak. And then your idea of what hurts, is different from my idea. I mean, I've hardened my body, without following any kind of school of, I don't know, I have a book with mantra, but it's enough to have it, I did not reread it. I can just do this, or do that, But if you really like mantra, go ahead. Maybe that's for later. I don't think I will ever have a real interest in these things. I mean, how many people do you know that can just sit comfortably in a natural resting position, which is the squat? The squat is a natural resting position in which you can learn to accumulate strength. Well, sure, in the beginning when you start and you've been brought up in a world where everybody's just sitting on chairs, right? Like self-made thrones, which are terrible for energy flow. They just restrict everything. And it's very hard to sit. And if somebody starts sitting straight, everybody looks like, oh, look at you, trying to be good now. The best way that I found to stop sitting like a slump is to stop spending time with slumps. I mean, for me, because I work from home, it's fairly easy. I don't have to leave the house, right? And then I learn to engage myself in a completely new way. And then I can learn to also distinguish myself from other people and to just realize, wow. I mean, I've told them for years, right? Whether they want to do it or not is their choice. But I'm doing it, whether or not other people are joining me or following me. And when I feel like it's time to make a recording, I make a recording. And then I can talk about these things. But to what degree should I do like some kind of yoga class? I think we have that already. I think for me it's about do what you like. I mean, I've already shown you what I do. So it's for you to try it yourself, because what I'm trying to teach is, freedom of mind. You don't need me to do anything. You don't need me to do anything. You can learn from me and from my ideas, but you can also do it yourself, such as I did it. But I also had help. I watched the health nut, the certified health nut, Troy Casey. I had, in terms of lyricism, lyrics or whatever, I listened to Chris Webby. Also kind of stopped me from wanting to make music, because I realized there's people that may make better music than me. Because I don't really take making music, I kind of take it seriously, but not really. It's just something I threw out. So I have to also find, where do I fit into this? Do I want to make music? Or do I just want to record myself, voice and whatever? I don't know. I still have to figure that out. I barely started. I keep saying that. So, while I'm talking to you, I can have a conversation, and I can at the same time rest my back, stretch my legs and strengthen them. But after a while I may feel that I don't feel my legs anymore. Well, what do you do then? Well, the only thing you can do, instead of getting a panic attack, I lost my leg, you just breathe. You know, it's like, oh wow. And then you gently, I had it once that my right leg was completely numb after sitting like this for, I don't know, sometimes it happens after 30 seconds. Sometimes it happens after 5 minutes. I mean, in order for your leg to get completely numb, you have to probably sit for a long time. But sometimes if you sit like this, you know, you can also start resting. You can start doing this. You can start doing this. Now I have pain in my left ankle because of, I would say, an injury I have received. And of course, this takes much longer to warm up your spirit and your mind than drinking coffee. And believe it or not, you know, sometimes I would like to have, you know, like a coffee machine where you can, you know, with this glass thing in the bottom, you know, that's how I grew up. And then I could wake up and I make 4 cups of coffee, you know, and then I just drink them during the day. But if I maintain this for several years, you know, my spirit will literally wither away because I overload my body with, you know, a high acidity beverage. You know, coffee can be used to boost yourself, but in moderation. You know, I started to realize that if I drank 1 coffee, I always wanted another shot. And the question is, should I give into it sometimes? But if I want another shot, maybe I should just rest a little. Because if I'm tired, then I need sleep. And then drinking another coffee may get more work done, but at the cost of my health. Which is why, you know, I'm a talker, a doing talker, right? I'm not just a talker, I'm a doing talker. I don't know what I'm going to say until I'm saying it, you know? I don't have to show you everything that I do all the time, but I've already recorded it, you know? And when my leg feels a bit, you know, I can do this, I can do this. You know, this is bad for your wrists. This is good for your wrists. Because it strengthens them. And then I can just, you know, move like this. And these are all transitions. And then I can be like this. You know, I want to be like a board. So that my back, then I can position myself. You don't want to hang through like this. You want to be like a board, you know. If I see, yeah, now I cannot feel it. And then you can do it the other way around. And then it's for your lower back. So, I have a lot of habits. You know, I have the habit to smoke occasionally. I have the habit to watch movies. I have the habit to drink alcohol occasionally. I have the habit to, you know, occasionally eat meat, eat sugar. You know, these are like habits I just have. I like eating pizza sometimes. So the question is, for how long do you want to keep these habits? And do they really hold you back? Or do they also give you an opportunity? You know, what's yourself? You know, if I can keep the habits that I used to have and then exercise them in moderation, you know, I call that freedom. Because if I like coffee, but, you know, remembering how it used to be, like drinking 10 a day, just didn't do the trick, You know, the coffee is never large enough. It's never large enough. You know, it can never fulfill me. So I can drink 15 of them. You know, or I could have drank one, done my job, you know, as much as I can today. And then I spend time with my family. I don't know, is that allowed? I'm not sure. But we need resting times. I usually, if I make 3 videos a day, you know, that's like, okay, sometimes I manage, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I make more, sometimes I make 9, just because I record myself doing art. And then I rest in between, right? Sometimes I have night, you know, today I woke up at 11, but I also went to bed at, I don't know, 2 or 3 at night. And then I allow myself to just sleep a bit longer. Because, you know, if I would have gone to bed earlier, I would have woken up earlier, but I like the night. I like to be awake into the night. But at some point I just have to sleep. So, I'm not a fan of living like others. Because when you look at how others live, what you realize is that they have no idea what they're doing. You know, they just do what everybody tells them to do. You have to get up, you have to go to your job. Then you do your work and then you go back home. You know, there's no time for self-discovery. You know, there's no time for thinking about freedom because they constantly think about work and then their wife is on their backs and, you know, it's like, it's hell. And then you start to free your mind of all these concepts and all these ideas. You know, what should you do if you have pain in your knee? Should you run to a doctor and then probably have surgery? Or should you do acupressure around it and maybe start, you know, try to walk barefoot, better start in summer and make sure maybe, I don't know where you live, right? It's like, there are places where snakes and scorpions exist and venomous spiders and stuff. You know this already. You know, if you would do this, if you have problems with your knee and you start, or you have thrombosis or really like a lot of water in your legs, you can, I mean, this is just intuitive stuff. I just know these things. It's just so obvious. And then you just start doing this. Right, if you've got cold feet, you know, you gotta work for them to get warm. And you can stretch out your toes. Right, and then you do this. And then you can do this. I mean, how many doctors take the time to tell you to do these things? That's why I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy who knows things. Right? And then you do this. And always be gentle with yourself, you know. I don't have to be gentle because I've already hardened myself. So I could do this because, you know, I can hike barefoot. So my knee is pretty strong. But if your knee is weak, then maybe just do it like that, right? That's called Paida Lajin. Paida-Lajin. You know, if you have trouble in your knee, then you can slap it frequently for, let's say, 5 minutes, and then it will activate your self-healing and cleanse the meridians in the surrounding areas. And this may result in, you know, black spots. It looks like a bruise, but it's part of the healing and drawing out bad energies. You know, I should probably do this with my ankle because I have pain there. But I'm always really reluctant to do these things because I feel uncomfortable if people hear. I mean, of course, watch for the pain, right? If it like really hurts, this is not what I had in mind now. It's better to do this. I mean, Python can help, but I'm not really doing it often. So I'm more like a nervous kind of character. You know, if you sit me down to meditate, I'm like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like this, but not everyone. So I had to learn also to retreat within. Because sometimes if you just always just talk random stuff, you know, it can also get you into trouble. Which is why I had to learn to also keep some things to myself. Because there are differences in motivations and in intentions. There are people who have strange intentions. You know, my intention is for the better. And what's the better? You know, it's like teach people how to engage with themselves, how to dive into themselves by doing it yourself and then talking about it, right? And that's then what people can hear, and then they can do it themselves, you know. So I don't talk about the method, I just tell you what I've been doing. You know, I'm not gonna explain to you everything that I do, you know, how my mind works through these pathways and flows into art. How I've already told you that my art is based on emotions and insights that I have while I'm alone in silence, contemplating on these things and suffering greatly to get to some kind of, I don't know, different place. You know, when I'm right now, I feel like this. You know, I remember to breathe, I remember to hold. You know, I don't need anything. But sometimes, you know, you do need something. Which is why then you start to eat, or you say, what could I have now, right? What could make the time more passable? So you drink a coffee. But how much coffee do you want to drink to make time more passable? You know, it's highly acidic, no matter how it's roasted. Okay, really cheap coffee is being roasted at 900 degrees and then cooled down like very rapidly. Good coffee is roasted at 450 to 500 degrees over 15 minutes and then cooled down gradually, or so it's supposed to be. So cheap coffee, 900 degrees, 5 minutes or something, and then rapidly cooled down. Good coffee, 450 to 500 degrees. But even good coffee should be drunk in moderation because it is a psychoactive substance. You know, what do we say psychedelics do? You know, we have a misconception of what a psychedelic substance is because humans are psychedelic. You contain DMT in your body. Through meditation, you increase the amount of DMT, and then your dream is going to get much clearer, which is what some people are afraid of, because what are you going to see? You know? And that means, you see, sometimes, should I talk about this? Yeah, sure, why not? Is this like a secret? You know, should this remain hidden? But the information is already out there. I just seem to... Terrible, but not always, okay? There can be shoes that are good, whatever. By changing my diet, by testing my diet, because it's never enough food, never. When I eat, I want to keep eating, right? It's like, I mean, if that's not a vicious cycle, then what is? Right? So, I'm not a boxer. I have strength, but the only reason I have strength is because I want to strengthen my mind so that I can be less dependent on all these things. You see, that's just one thing I can say. I mean, something I can say. And I never drink anything to go. Right, if I drink a coffee, I take my time to drink it. Actually, I don't. I just gulp it down. I think I'm starting to learn something here. I'm really impatient. I have no idea how to really take my time and enjoy coffee. Plus, the effects that coffee gives me just aren't enough. You know, I feel much better if I breathe than if I smoke. But sometimes I still feel like, now it says bullshit in the back of my mind. You know, I don't know, I have the feeling smoking could help me. But it just makes me tired. You know, and then I'm tired and then I drink a coffee to stay awake, right? It's like, that's kind of a vicious cycle, isn't it? You know, you eat, you feel sleepy, you drink a coffee. It's like, why? Because your spirit is already, you know, it's already good the way it is. But how empty should I get? Or what should I fill myself with instead? Now, I do watch movies because this is also, you know, if this is work, and after that is done, which is intense, to me at least, after this is done, then maybe I will rest. Maybe I will eat something. Maybe I will do something else, right? Yeah. And men should really learn to be more gentle with breasts. Like, they're not to be like grabbed and squeezed like this. It's a part of a woman's body. I mean, it's just like everything about the woman. I say, you know, firm but gentle. That's something you have to teach people by showing it. I mean, not showing it. I'm not saying, you know, make porn or something. I'm just saying, you know, you just show that you treat your wife with respect. And most people, they don't treat anyone with respect, including themselves. Which is why, sorry, I don't have time for your lies anymore. You know, I just meet people who act like they were super enlightened, and then you get to the bottom of it and you realize, what is he talking about? He doesn't do any of the things that he's advertising about himself. Right? You know, I do the things and then I film them. Or I want to do the things and then I help myself to do them by filming myself. Because that gives me a goal, right? To just share it. Because that's the process I'm in right now. I'm building my YouTube channel, just putting it out there. I'm showing the process. And I'm filming myself. Sure, looks like you're only talking. Yeah, that's what this is about, right? It's about saying how you feel about things. And this day is different than yesterday. Everything's kind of different. I still feel that everything's going to fade away. Everything that happens, every time that happens, I don't know, I eat something or I do something else. And maybe it will all fade away and I will have to do completely different things. Well, to me, it's kind of irrelevant. Because if something fades away, then I'm just going to do something else. At this stage, you know, I'm facing a lot of things. Like, where I think I have financial issues, where I think I have this or that. And that's all there is to it. Whether that's real or not remains to be seen. Close my eyes and then I look as far up as I can look, and it's uncomfortable. But I just hold it until the pressure ceases. Then I look down as far as I can, I look left as far as I can, I look right as far as I can. Of course, always with both eyes. And that's then stretching. You know, my body doesn't need that much stretching, I think. And maybe I have no idea because I still have a bit of back pain, no matter of all the tough stuff that I do. So I'm also still learning. And if there's somebody that could teach me something, you know, they can try. But usually I just make up my own mind of what's good for me, which is why there will be no yoga school for me, I think. But there may be a movement school, but maybe not. You know, at this stage, I cannot say. There are ideas I have had, things I might do, but I'm letting them all go because that's not what I want. I like talking. And every time I start to film myself, I just start to talk. Every time in the presence of other people, I just start to talk. That's all I want. I just want to stand there and just give them a show about something. And that's what has been making itself clearer and clearer that I like. You see? A debate. I like the debate. I like the talking. And I want to be interviewed. That's why I'm doing all of this. Just because I want people to hear what I have to say. So I'm interviewing myself because that's basically what a podcast is, isn't it? And this is also part of my podcast. It's more the active side of my podcast. Or the, you know, see my face kind of podcast. But I'm so, you know, another one, you know, first guy comes out of the house, walks down, you know, 20 meters, he already has his phone in his hand. Now second one walks down here, has a phone in her hand. They don't even realize, you know, of course, sure, you know, it's like multitasking, but, you know, the idea of going for a walk is just being present. And that's scary and that's weird. And if your body is weak and you're not connected to the ground, it's very hard to be present. But it's something you can learn. So you walk. You know, there's like walking meditations where you can just slowly walk. Well, where are you going to do that? Just in the city? People aren't used to people like that. So you would have to just remember to breathe, right? You walk and you breathe. You walk and you breathe. And I don't do these things all the time, but I know how to do them. And when I need to do them, right, they come back to me. But I don't need to do it all the time because I know how to hold my spirit here. And I'm just getting back to my philosophy, never shake anybody's hands. Because people are trying to overcome your spirit. There's no point to shake anybody's hands. Because it's not a form of respect. Because what's a form of respect? If you want to shake my hand, but I don't want to shake your hand, and you think I'm disrespectful, then you're disrespectful. Because everything you try to push on somebody else is you. You're disrespecting my need to keep myself together, which is why standing like this, right? You can stand like this. I don't know, you can even stand like this. And why I say that is because I've realized what it means to live with people who I would think are weird, right? So if I wouldn't talk anymore, they would just shit their pants, right? I just tried to remain silent for a week and they just shat their pants. Like, why don't you talk to me? Have I done something wrong? It's like, with who am I living here? You know, who are these people that are so insecure? You know, do they still exist? It's just a concept in my mind. Well, the house outside is still there. So
all you have to do is actually accept that people have insecurities and, they try to act like they're not afraid, but they are. And then it's probably weird for a parent to see their child learning to do things that scares them, but yeah, sorry if my silence scares you, then you got some work to do, because if all I have to do to scare you is to just say nothing, if all I have to do to make you feel uncomfortable is to just stop speaking, then this is a very weird place indeed. Because what's the point? You see why I speak so much? To talk people through their own fear. That's what I realized. People are afraid. And in order to teach people who are afraid how to do anything at all, sometimes you just have to talk them through it. It's like, I'm just talking about random stuff. You don't know what it is. Like, oh wow, I just felt bad. I found that guy. I was starting to watch him. And then suddenly you realize, oh wow, what is he actually talking about? I mean, is this important? Is this relevant? Why does he stretch it out over so many, like 1,000 videos? Why does he stretch it out over so many videos? Hell if I know. Well, because that's what I like to do. I like to talk. I like to draw attention to myself so that other people can forget themselves for a moment. Okay? She doesn't have it in her hand, but it looked like she has it in her pocket. She's already waiting to pull it out. Let's see. If she can manage to get past my window. Okay, she smells her fingers. I know that. She's wearing a bag. So she's wearing a bag on the right side. She's walking like this. So if you always wear stuff, carry stuff with your right side, it's guaranteed. Why is he so happy? Why is he so happy recording himself in his room like that? What a lonely loser. Yeah, you know what? Try being in here for me with 5 minutes. Yeah? You're gonna run, my friend. Just saying. I don't have to do anything. Just have to stand there and look at you. So for you, what the camera is actually it's safety. Because you're living in a world of fear. But in a way, it's just energy. So just breathe through it. What's supposed to scare you? I mean, I made content that's supposed to scare people. So that they can look at it. Because what I have to say is maybe for courageous people. It's not for cowards, it's for courageous people, right? For courageous people, or people who want to be courageous, which still takes a courageous person. But if it's enough for you to just want to be courageous, then how are you going to be courageous? So if you carry something with your right hand, then you'll always with your right hand, then your left will get weak. So I started carrying things also with my left hand, which is why I started to outbalance my physical, shortcomings or whatever. So I was trained as right-handed, which is super stupid, just because people cannot even think about being both-handed. And I stick mostly, actually not. Okay, I always use my mouth on the right side. And at this stage, why should I change that? Because maybe it's the guiding right masculine side. Well, people say the feminine is the guiding, but I don't see that for myself. I see that men are the ones that envision things and have a direction. But then there's also women that envision things and have a direction. Well, at least for my own life, I don't take the opinions of others very seriously. But for me, it's sometimes better to listen. Sometimes women say really good things, and men just say crap. I mean, most men that I meet are just complete idiots. I can connect much better with, not all of them, but some women. To me, men are just complete idiots. And I could probably see myself more like worshipping a woman than worshipping men. Because the men that I meet are just ridiculous. And most women are ridiculous as well. They walk around there with all these gimmicks, you know, like headphones and whatnot. And all like children. They don't know what they're doing, but they're running the show. So that's what we have to deal with. Get people conscious, help them to learn, to heal themselves, help them to learn to do what they want. And I have to be open about saying this. That we just say, you know, all I want is for people to get better. And if that means less hospitals because people know how to heal themselves, I mean, that should be a good sign. Then money for the state should come from somewhere else and not from the pharmaceutical industry anymore. You know, that's just one pillar that keeps the state up. You know, it's getting people to go to doctors to get money from medication that's mostly useless. That just gets away the symptoms. You know, I completely rebuilt my body by going barefoot into nature, by exposing myself at times to the cold, you know, by sitting in seemingly uncomfortable positions until they became comfortable, by doing planks, also by going to the boulder hall, but the shoes are terrible. I mean, shoes are always be able to pack it into a random conversation. So I think sometimes it's better to remember how things may have been and then just to see how that could fit into your life. I mean, I'm craving for a lot of things at the moment. You know, I would like to have cornflakes. I would like to have this or that or internet, but I just don't have these things. And I don't have them most of the time. You know, I don't always have cornflakes at home. You know, I buy them once and then I eat the whole pack in a couple of hours probably, you know, and then I'm done with it. You know, then I'm satisfied, but now I feel like eating it again. So, you know, what's the point of doing that over and over again? Because the only thing I'm gonna get from that is a session on the toilet. I may feel satisfied now, but at least in a week, I'm gonna feel like doing the same thing again. And that's a habit. Using food to forget how you feel. Because if you feel terrible, that's when these methods, you know, when doing crochet, when, you know, sitting straight and holding your breath, you know, people have a really weird idea what meditation is supposed to be about. You know, you can meditate with open eyes. You can just sit here like this. Just try to have a straight back. And then you can just watch anything. I mean, you can sit like this. Just watch your hand. You know, you can engage yourself in anything. I mean, you can sit here and just let your mind wander. You know, you don't think actively. You just look at the shapes that you see. You can look at the clouds, how they change. You know, you can look at all the corners. You can trace those lines. You know, you could have, you know, things hanging there and then look at them. You can just take in all those shirts that you may have hanging openly in your room, just as I. You know, I have a lot of objects that I can actually observe. It's all this clutter. And, you know, you can even just sit there like this, and then you can touch the carpet,
And then you, of course, you remember to breathe, and you just try to sink into your surroundings. And that then may be your first experience of oneness, just feeling connected to one room, you know? Because here, you know, you can feel connected. You know, if I'm with strangers, you know, some people, they start feeling connected because they take psychedelics. So what's a psychedelic substance? We say they alter your consciousness. Okay, what's my consciousness? Well, you know, let's say you're tired. Then you're conscious of the fact that you're tired. You know, what's tired? Is your spirit tired? Maybe also because you ate something. Is your body tired? What's tired? Or is your mind tired because you've been thinking so much? Can your mind get tired? I don't know. Well, when you're tired and you don't want to work and you live in this kind of consciousness, I don't want to work. And then you drink a coffee and then suddenly you do want to work. Then you changed your consciousness. But it's only lasting for, you know, I need coffee in order to work. Because everybody drinks coffee. Why does everybody drink coffee? Well, because they've advertised it in movies. I mean, coffee companies pay top dollar. You know that movie Passengers? You know, by now, nobody can even get rid of coffee anymore. You know, it's like, that's a part of your life. You really like that, you know, and then you've got frappuccinos and cappuccinos and cortado, and you know, a cortado is actually an espresso, and then you add milk foam, just the foam. That's a cortado. And then you've got an americano, which is an espresso, and then you fill it up with hot water. And then there's so many different versions of this. You know, how to make a coffee. Do you want to take a French press? Do you want to take one of these Bialetti cans, these mocha pots? Do you want it, on a mocha pot is actually the other one I use, the Arabian one. Or do you want to take these Bialettis? You know, the weird thing is that when I went to a friend's place and he made coffee in the Bialetti, I really liked it. But if I make it myself, I never really liked it. I mean, for how long can you drink? You know, I used to have a 4-cup Bialetti made of stainless steel. I never liked the taste. Now I have a smaller Bialetti. You know, for me, coffee tastes actually kind of bad. I once had a coffee that just blew my mind completely, which is coffee beans that I roasted myself in a stainless steel, is it a poker? Pan. And you see, I just can't help it. I'm not like other people. I cannot make these yoga videos where I'm like, You know, I have moments where I can do it, but I really like to talk. I mean, why should I be silent all the time? You know, it's just my choice. I mean, this is my job. I like to talk. When there's people, I like to talk. And when these people want to shut me down, then I'm just gonna stop going there. Because if you don't like the way I am when I'm there, then I think we should stop spending time with each other. So I just do these things, right? You know, I don't have to go on a Friday night to the pub. You know, I can stay at home and just learn to play with myself, right? Just learn to play with myself. Instead of waiting for a child that I can play with, you know, I have one right here. You know, I have my inner child piggybacking me all the time, but only if I allow it to. You know, when the time is right, maybe it will, you know, climb into the womb of a woman and then lay in my arms at a later stage. You see?
So it's just about being careful about who you follow, who you listen to. I'm not saying I'm a good one to follow. I'm just saying, right, it's just an alternative perspective on how you can live, how you can dream. You know, because it feels real, but sometimes it doesn't. And I think what the dream is often, I don't know, let's just assume it's real, right? Because I'm standing on solid ground, or so it seems. So instead of denying myself to live, you know, I'm here now, I have a body. Whatever my mind thinks, you know, I want to engage with myself. I want to learn who this guy is, and I need time for that. And some people need a lot of time. And some people need less time. You know, some people are being born, they already know what they want, and then they just do it. You know, I think what I wanted was in relation to the environment I was living in, or I'm still living in it. So you grow up in the society. And sometimes people need a lot of information before they can decide what they want. You know, I wanted to study, I did that. Although I didn't know why, I just did it. Just had a feeling. I just kept going. Hey, that's a really fluffy cat. And then in the end, you just... She certainly looked like she was running away. You see, that's what I've tried all my life. I tried to get away. Get away. But until I did the right things, you know, I kind of had to stay. So I first had to put in the work. Also, sometimes with people, I had to do all the things that I had to do before I could consider myself to be free. And I don't know how I did it or why I did it. I just did it. Why did other people not do it? Well, maybe they just didn't feel like it. You know, why do I take my shoes off? Because I see what it does to people who wear shoes. Why do I leave my phone at home? Because I see that everybody who's walking on the streets is just with their phone in their hands. You know, because everything they do, you know, they just have to distract themselves. You know, I'm afraid, so I'm going to check my phone. I'm insecure, so I'm going to check my phone. You know, they don't even know anymore. You know, it's just like a part of their bodies. You know. So of course people are dreaming up weird shit. That at one stage it's going to be implemented into their retina or whatever. Which I think is impossible. Or maybe it's already being done. But I cannot imagine that this would be comfortable. I mean, I tried contact lenses. It was the worst. So I just gave up on glasses and I just stretched my eyes, you know, just